Well, a very good morning to you, and welcome back to Channel 1. And now the Good Morning Kenya show continues, and the segment on air right now is the Western Spectrum with me, Wycliffe Okech, straight from the lakeside city of Kisumu. And this morning we are going to talk about the back to school. We now we know that the festivities are over and the new year is here with us. And now it is time back to get down to business. And parents are hustling here and there to take their children to school. And of course, this morning we are going to talk about specifically the senior school placement headache. We know that those learners who sat for the KJSA assessment last year are scheduled to report to school, to the senior schools, starting date 12 of this January 2025. But then we know that there is some sort of confusion, the headache that is surrounding the placement of this KJSA exam learners. This morning I am joined by a gentleman here and a lady, that is Mr. Zabulon Awange, who is the KUPPET Executive Secretary for the Kisumu chapter, and also an educationist, Madam or Mrs. Beatrice Omolo. Good morning, Beatrice.
Good morning.
Good morning, Awange.
Good morning. Good morning.
We were afraid probably you could run late. You've managed.
This is.
Oh, yes. It's not like Nairobi. It's not like Nairobi.
Yeah, there might be jams.
So jammed like Nairobi.
Yeah.
Straight on. We want to talk about the senior school student or learners placement, and there seems to be a sort of some confusion. We know that there's also a review, or after the initial placement there was a review window which already closed, and also there is another review window starting tomorrow all the way to Friday. But then starting as of Beatrice, you are the parents, you are an educationist. Where do you think this sort of confusion is coming from? Where is it stemming from?
One, I would say this is a new system, and most parents went through 844. So the new system is giving them a lot of tasks because the sensitization, I know information is there and all that, but you find that parents are not still quite informed. And the experience, the exposure, because this is the first cohort for the senior school, so it's like they literally don't know. And then there's a lot of not quite correct information from social media, so they find themselves like getting confused here and there. As much as they were told in schools, for those who attended parents meetings and all that, it's still like there's confusion on the social media, so they are finding themselves quite unaware. And also the pathways, the pathways are also confusing because for the C1s, you find like your child has really performed well, you expect them to go to C1, and and naturally they are placed on the STEM. But not all kids would want to just go for the STEM. Some people could be very brilliant, brainy, but then they may want to go for social sciences or something like that. So those are some of the confusion that are coming. And also like the downloading of the letter. Some people, they found themselves placed somewhere else, C4, when they were supposed to be in C1, C2. So all those are different issues. And so also before, it was like you go pick the letter from head of institution or something like that, but now it's the system. So some parents still don't buy that idea. They really want to go pick their letter, and they're sure that this is the school they're going to. So,
yes. Yeah. Brought up, you mentioned a very critical factor there, aspect of information. Where should they get the information? Should they rely on social media, or the information given to them by the Ministry of Education, or by the schools where their learners are?
Of course, MOE, their page is quite informed and all that, but also the school where their learners they were informed very well. But if they feel like that information is still scanty, they even can call the senior school they're going to for some more information. And there are educationists everywhere. You can even get hold of your head, the HOE or any other teacher, at least more informed. But also as a parent, I know some of them are not quite like social media text or something like that, but then they can just Google. This is something that you can just get yourself, Google it and verify it from the MOE side.
Awange, Beatrice is mentioning that this is a new system and it is bound to, these challenges that are being experienced are bound. And again, she's mentioning the aspect of the information on the social media versus the information given by the Ministry of Education. What is your take on this?
Thank you, Wycliffe. The system might be new, but it has been with us. It is only that it's not transiting to the senior secondary. That is almost like the second or third stage, because it started at the ECD level. It reached grade 8, grade 3, where there were some exams, which were then later grade 6, where there was CAPSEA. Then now it is KJSEA. And we, as a union, we had warned the government that planning to fail is failing to plan. We had told them time and again, okay, they have tried to patch it several times. They have brought some changes. Remember, this is a cohort that has been characterized with a lot of experimentations. They are the guinea pigs of the education system in Kenya. They started with several subjects until the unions made noise. Then the subjects were trimmed. Later, there was this and that, the domicility. These are students who at grade 6 had selected very big schools. Later, the government came and said, oh, because of the cost, particularly the financial situation, because capitation in secondary school was a bit higher than capitation in primary. So the domicility was left in primary. Then we had a situation whereby the government most concentrated on the names. The names has changed. You find a primary school changing its name to JSS, later to comprehensive, now it's due to what? And CBE itself has changed to CBE, CBC. It is a den of confusion. And even when they were doing KJSEA, we as a union, we had warned that this new system requires all the stakeholders to be in place. But what we saw that there is change. The change was, the motive was good. There was change in the type, in the manner in which the students were going to be admitted. They removed it from the principles of high schools because there was association with the bribery. Those big schools, the C1, formerly called the national schools, you find the principals were collecting money and actually doing what? Giving chances to unfairly to students. Now the MOE took over, and through the HOIs, and then there is the parents also who are supposed to play their part. Are we sure that all the parents play their part? Because 3/4 of parents in this nation are concerned with the bread and butter. Most of them are not in the social media. Most of them barely survive with phones like Abambe. So there is total confusion as we are opening schools today. Students of poor families do not know where they are going. And there was the window you have called for review. The review was opened. And even when the review was opened, it was characterized by jam. The portal was not being accessible. There is nowhere these parents could go to. There is nowhere they could cry to. But they give credit to you. You, the media, you highlighted such problems. That is why the ministry has now said that they are reopening it. But reopening the portal and the review again is not sufficient. We need now to push forward the process of the students joining. The date for the grade 10 joining the senior secondary school. And as they are reopening, we are having chaos within the students themselves, because you find that a student was admitted, they say, to C1 Alliance High School in the portal. But now the results has come, the student has been readmitted to Nyamasaria Secondary. A student with 70 marks with 72. Where are these students complaining to? Who will they complain to?
Yes.
Those are the realities on the ground. On the ground, things are different. You find others have been reviewed without them applying. You did not apply to go to Stare, but all of a sudden you found yourself in Stare. Yes. The one who was called to Alliance has been rerouted to Nyamasaria. We have been told that we are not concentrating on exams. NEC, after the marking, gave us results. There were expectations. These expectations, our parents in the villages, in the slums, still don't understand it. Where is these expectations? How is it being met? How is it being approached? And how is it being exceeded? Yes. After exceeding it, why is it that after exceeding it, you are still being placed in another different school? Right. Those are the things that are characterizing the chaos, anarchy, and confusion that is part of the Ministry of Education in relation to the JSS students who are supposed to transition to senior secondary school.
And just on that point, it's chaotic, like you've mentioned. I don't think it's very, but then there is some sort of chaos in that transition. But then you've said that this system has been with us here for quite some time, in as much as it's a new one, but then it has been with us here for some time. But still, there is chaos. There is still some sort of confusion. What is lacking, Awage?
What is lacking is government total support for it. The government is speaking in one arm, and doing other things. Everybody is not happy. Okay, I might talk from the point of the union.
Sure.
We said last year and made noise concerning the science teachers. They were employed as interns. But even up to today, they are yet to be put at PNP. In senior secondary, the issue is still the teaching. The teachers there are not sufficient, particularly for the STEM, particularly for these applied and technical subjects. What is the government doing about the teachers in senior secondary and in junior secondary? We are still making noise that they should be put to PNP. In terms of the resources, there is a way in which capitation is being changed. You see, the government is saying they have sent 44 billion to primary to secondary schools. But there is the issue of those arrears which has not been paid in last year. There is also the issues of resources. This money is not sufficient to run these schools. Then you are putting more money in the so-called former national schools. We need, yes, there is these small schools, the sub-county schools and the county schools. Most of them do not have enough resources. The end result is that most students avoided them when they were selected. As we are talking, so many schools, almost half, were not selected. Miraculously, they have gotten students. Where have they gotten students from? Those are the questions that we must ask ourselves. Then you are talking about the review. 10,000 students applied for review. That is the hugest number of students asking for a review in the history of education in senior secondary and from transition from primary to secondary. And actually, it's beating the whole essence of access to education and transition policy, 100% transition policy. Out of those 10,000, only half, less than half had their prayers answered. Over 5,000, their prayers were declined, citing numerous reasons. For instance, that the pathway you have selected is not in that school.
And now they have a chance tomorrow, from starting to Friday, to also try again to see if their prayers will be answered. But again, Beatrice, some of the factors that were considered by the Ministry of Education in the placement is the outcome of the KJ's assessment. Do you think the outcome really, it mirrors or reflects the ability of the student to be placed either on STEM pathway or the social sciences pathway or the arts and sports pathway? The outcome, is it really determining or reflecting the ability of the learner?
Well, it's a yes and a no. Yes, in the sense that STEM was, those who are being selected for STEM, there are people who have managed the higher points, right? But you find, no, in the sense that some learners manage to achieve high points, but they don't want STEM. You understand? They may want to do arts and sports. They may want to do social sciences, but then they're placed in STEM. So already you're being told where to go. You're going to do something you didn't like. So, but we hope it's well, I know Mr. Wange says it's not a new system, but maybe some of the things that are like the pathways and all that, those are new things that are coming up in the new system. So maybe something has to be done, that a little bit of flexibilities has to be introduced here, because learners are going to go to school, they find themselves in STEM, but this is not their direction, the direction they really wanted. So I hope the ministry is going to be flexible so that these learners can navigate through what they wanted to do. And also maybe I hope moving forward, we have seen what has happened, that sensitization is going to be done quite well. In our cultural tradition, we feel like a child has to be an engineer, they have to be a pilot. That is when they are making it. Nowadays, we see even musicians are really making it, actors, comedians, and these learners could have been very brilliant, but because our tradition just forged towards STEM, social sciences, some natural talents and skills are being neglected. So I hope moving forward, we will also have the chance to talk to these learners and tell them, this, whichever direction you are making, you understand, there's still life after that. For that one, I really support the CBC, because it makes children learn that it's not only your brain that is going to make you pass. There's also some skills that can make you make it in life and also survive with that. Yeah.
Right. But on that point, do you think the outcome really determines where the learner should be placed? Because we know the outcome of that particular assessment was quite considerable in placing these learners in either C1 all the way to C4.
Let's go back to thank you, Wycliffe. Let's go back to what National Examination did. When some schools started celebrating and doing some personal ranking, NEC was first to say that those ones is just a guideline. They are not the actual points. They told us that 65 does not mean that you got 65. So there was confusion right from those results in the first place. Then we have been told that those are accumulated results from CAPSEA, from grade 3, from whatever. Then you are saying that they are not actually the genuine, the actual amount. So schools should not rank, they should not celebrate. But to deny a student who has gotten 72 marks from celebrating is taking the joke too far. Secondly, we are saying and we are repeating that issues of career is very paramount. And the TSC and the ministry should have long time ago put career masters or posted career masters. That's not what we are currently having in schools. We are currently having problems in terms of careers, not even at KJSA level, the JSS level, but even at secondary. In your own profession of the media, if you have people who are not meant to be in the media, we have lawyers, doctors, who eventually got love after gone to the university. Some people go to the university to do law, then send the certificates to their parents, and then go to pursue music. You can be nameless. You are a good architect, but you're not pursuing architecture, or who are good mathematician. So what hope do we have that this KJSA 14-year-old, you have chosen for him STEM? The very fact that he has passed mathematics does not mean that this student is destined to be a doctor. This good student could be going to be a good comedian. Yeah, the same way you have people who are ambitious to your profession. You have comedians who are denying people other really journalist jobs in the media, even us in the teaching profession. That is what is causing. So we need people who can identify these talents. It has been left for the teachers. Retooling has been done. Capacity building has been done. But it has been done in a haphazard manner. It has been done in a chaotic manner. What was done is a joke. We retooled the JSS. Later we retooled the senior secondary in December, holidays. It was a joke. It was just a matter of satisfying what we are saying that, okay, we need to retool these teachers so that by the time. What I'm saying, and I am repeating, let us have a career department right from primary where we can sensitize these people and sensitize the parents. You need the parents. Currently, the parents were not involved even in the selection of schools. And these are pathway. You are saying that this kid is going to select this pathway. A pathway that you have decided as a ministry and a government that this student is going to follow this pathway. And you are already frustrating this kid by placing him in a different school. You are affecting the mentality and the psychology of this student. If this student was meant to go to Alliance because he has selected it, he wants to unearth his career, let him go there. If this student had selected Kakamega High School because he wants to go and play football, let this student go to Kakamega High School and not to take him to Orachuodo. That is what we are saying as a union.
Orachuodo is. I really want to know where that school is located. And it's a funny name anyway, but it's still a school. Exactly. Yes. And Beatrice, from this perspective of a parent, Mr. Wang has brought this point, and that was my next question actually. Averagely, the senior school learners are averagely between 14 and 16 years old away. And we have 3 pathways. Do you think at that age, the learner is able to determine their interested pathways in terms of career choices later on?
No. 14, this age, they're very young. Take, for example, how many university students do or choose whatever they want to do, and along the way they just feel like, no, this is not my dream direction. Or maybe you even finish your undergrad, and then you go outside there, you get the shock of your life, So remember, now we are giving these children this opportunity to choose a pathway at this tender age. And maybe we also depend on their parents to also give them direction. Some parents are not informed. Some of them are too busy to follow even this new system. So these learners are left in the hands of either the teacher or any well-wisher, or even themselves, So it's like, if I'm brilliant enough, and this, as I said, the tradition, we know only lawyers, pilots, those are the people who are highly ranked, For a child that didn't have that exposure, we know only teachers, nurses around us, this low income area. Those are the people, policemen. I'm not saying like they're bad, but but that is the level they are, you know. So even someone to give them this counseling, like, you know, this is your direction, you can go the comedy direction. You know, whatever you're doing right now, you can go the pilot direction. Whatever you're doing, you can even be a great entrepreneur, you know, with just the little things, the business you're doing by the side, you know, someone to direct them, you know. So that is quite likely. And their age, they cannot make that primary decision on their own. So I hope, like, as much as it's being done at this tender age, as I said also, I hope there's going to be flexibility ahead here, because kids are going to be confused. When you've already chosen your path, you know, I'm just saying this, and I will give this example because this is something I've experienced. And I've also interacted with people who had the chance to do pathways earlier. In developing countries, some of them, maths was something that was not being taken up to higher levels. I've interacted with someone who is, they have taken already their path, they are in their profession and all that, but because they dropped maths at a very tender age, they are finding that gap very big. You know, and they're like, they're working, they're doing everything, but it's like, I really need some training to know how to handle the basics of mathematics. That is the gap that some of these things can create. So a learner at that tender age, they will maybe go with peer pressure if they don't get enough counseling or something like that, but later on they may regret it. So I hope that the counselors maybe after they're going to do something, and also that flexibility that they can navigate through the pathways they may want to do, or even later when they're joining university. I don't know how they will be able to navigate if they find a way that, if they find out that at this early age we made a wrong decision, so maybe when we are going ahead, we can jump to what we want to do. Yeah, maybe something like that.
Basically, you're in agreement here that there needs to be the career department in these institutions. Mr. Wange, what is the role of the parent in all this?
The role of the parent, as per the CBC, was to guide. In fact, it was part of the campaign when Raila Amolo Odinga, the late former Prime Minister, was contesting against William Samoei Arap Ruto. It was the issue of CBC was discussed at great length, that the parents have taken over, but most of our parents are busy. You are a mother who is a vegetable seller, and your father is a carpenter. At what time will they have time with you, with your homeworks? Secondly, even as the professionals, we are so busy. You are busy. If I'm a teacher, I'm a unionist, I'm busy walking up and down, coming home late. You are also busy looking for news. The child is remaining with the house help. Who is the one to tell you, will this person be able to help with the CBC? That is what made the decision to remove those 14 subjects to be reduced to current 9. We say that there must be, as per the Presidential Working Committee on Education, there was supposed to be a review of the education system beginning with the CBC. And after we have reviewed it, we got some things wrong and we've got some things right. But we have not yet reached, because kosa si kosa, kosa ni kurudia kosa. We must stop living the lie. The lie here is that the children are going to follow this pathway. We have changed names, but a rose by any other name will still remain or smell good. When you change the name of national school from national school to C1, does Alliance stop being Alliance? Alliance still remain Alliance. And does a sub-county school stop being a sub-county because you have called it C10 or C6? It still remains C6. Then that is why there is change. These students are demanding to change, to go to their dream schools. Sure. Yes, they want to go to Kenya High, and that's why they struggle very hard to pass exams. Mm-hmm. Others are regretting, because when we started this CBC, you told them you don't need to worry in K6. They were not struggling much. They were doing exams while going to play. They were not revising, only to find that in KJSEA, the results have creep up on them. Had they worked hard, they would have gotten 65. But now they have got 55 because they were told that you can do play, there's no stress. Now they are regretting. The same with professionals. The truth is, at the professional level, our Form 4s, when they are looking for careers, they are looking for careers that is going to put food on the table. There are some careers where even if you have done it, you are going to tarmac. So it is not about the issue of that children want to do this. You could be possible you want to do that course, but the course is flooded, or there is no career opportunity there. You want something where you can get employment immediately. If you look at us as teachers, there are some subjects which were flooded. So you find that somebody who is good in English is going to university to do B.Ed. Science. you know, because you have passed BSS, maths, physics, or physics, chemistry. But you come back to secondary school, you realize that this man still has passion for English. Some of them ended up being good drama teachers. People like Oliver Mnishi. He was a physics teacher, but he was very good in drama. So sometimes you choose a subject because you are told that that is where there is money. And in a developing country like Kenya, we still have small chances of money. Like now, software, IT, that is where now there is money. So let us allow these students to pursue their passions. They can change later. Let them make mistakes, not that the government is making a mistake for them. We know that the parents needs to be included. But have we included the parent in the selection? Like you have said, the parent wanted to go to school to collect the letter. We are assuming that all parents are digital, which is not the case. We should not have just changed abruptly to digital and leaving. We want the kind kid to go to school and collect that envelope, calling letter from a school. Not that you must go to the cyber to do what? To download. How many parents in the slums or in the villages can do that? Part of the confusion of selection is that the parents abdicated their responsibilities. They abdicated it to the principals. I mean, the HOIs. The HOIs are the ones who are selecting, because you can't blame the parent. The life is very hard. They are struggling to put food on the table. Yes, and they have not been socialized enough about the changes in the CBE. It is causing them confusion. Like I talked about that expectations. They have always been asking, which is this expectations? What is this expectations? And how do we meet it? Only to realize that you are still approaching it. Others have just exceeded it. And after exceeding it, the results, you realize that the results is also causing confusion, because the private schools which had facilities have overturned the tables. Now they have performed much better than the public schools. And even after the private schools have performed better, you now tell them that you give them a quota, that you have performed, but because you are from this school, now you cannot go to that national school, go to this other school. Why should you punish a student who had all the facilities in a private school, and you are punishing the parent who was able to purchase that facility?
I know a case of a parent whose child scored, is it 64 out of 72, and in all the selections they had, they selected national schools, but then she's been taken to an extra account, C2,
yes.
And the parent is very much annoyed with that and very, very angry, but then there is a window to revise all that, and we...
I haven't finished. So the reason why the parents are annoyed the way you have said, that you have gotten the marks, you are teaching your children to work hard to achieve the dream, that get 62 or 65, you go to Kenya High, then it's being denied. Just like we tell them later in Form 4, get A to go do medicine, then you want to deny. There is confusion on that. And the other confusion that I had not finished was on the basis in which they have used to allocate it. The Ministry of Education is using CRA. CRA was developed by KRA. Yes, County Revenue Allocation. And KRA developed it using what? Population census. In the last population census, how many people were counted? It was faulty. We are yet to do a proper census. So we are saying that the use of CRA is a wrong parameter to select our students and should not have been borrowed in the first place. We should have developed our own parameter. Because CRA uses poverty level, uses the population, how do you count the number of people in Northeastern where it's pastoralism? So we are saying the last census did not accurately give the number of people in Kenya and in counties, because it was very faulty. Right. The best census were done early independence, 1963, 79, 89. After that, it has been chaotic and politically motivated to show the tyranny of numbers for political purposes.
Away from political. Just a bit. Beatrice, have you come across a situation probably where the Minister of Education is telling us that the learners must generate, the calling letters should be generated strictly from the system. But there is a situation we have seen on the social media, especially some guardians and parents claiming to have collected physically these calling letters from the institutions. Have you come across such a situation?
Yeah. There are a lot actually, and I like the way some teachers have come now on social media to actually now take care of the confusion. Of course, you have to check and verify the information, but at least the teachers, the technocrats are there. I remember there were a team that, okay, this teacher posted all those, and he was like, my goodness, you are still going to school to pick letter. Do you know there's a special code, you know? But then they're like, no, me, I even have my letter. I've already been given, you know? And then you are like, what is it? What is going on? You know, this goes back to the information that was rolled out. And as we are saying, not all parents were in a position maybe to follow this to the latter. This is a first cohort. Everyone is just like, my first child, I went picked, and I think they can still do that here. And, you know, and they're settled. They're like, me, my child was called on a C4, and they have performed very well. I've gone to a C1, I've given something small, I have my, you know, and they're comfortable with it. So, and it's good we have Mr. Wange here. Please, maybe would you guys may come up with a system that is working for the parents that are from the slums. They be informed, because now next week we are going to see wonders. A parent is carrying everything, they bought uniform, they bought everything, they're carrying their letter evidence, they've already paid the bribe, probably, and you know, who is going to help these people? You know, because they are also probably not actively following media, they are not actively asking the school, then they know they have a letter. A letter is written the name of the school, everything, but of course there are those that are really still fighting to get, because also that discussion brought in this issue of, now what do we do? I've been trying to log into this school to try and get a chance, and now there's no one who is answering. And also, I don't know whether this is true, that is the power of social media as well, that is saying like C1, C2, C3 is no longer in the system. It's only C4 that is available there. I still don't know whether it's true or not. So if your child was not allocated C1 or C2, meaning you only have C4, you know, to take care of the situation. So a parent is like, am I going to go to C4 and my child is a C1? You know, no. I'll carry my letter, go to that school. So that will balloon in the social media. It is there. I've met it. I've seen parents, and I think it's a lot of tension.
From the perspective of you may want to talk to the to other parents watching us right now and tell them, as a parent, tell them that these calling letters are generated strictly from the system, because with that it helps the Ministry of Education to plan for the capitation. Yes, you may want to talk to space.
Yeah, it's personally, as you call it, a new system, as much as it's been there for a while, and parents have to just go by what is happening right now. There's a new window that is opening tomorrow up to Friday. Go to the JS where the child took the exams, talk to the HOE to help you initiate it from the system, or go to the senior school you want to go and they help you, but it has to be generated. Don't sit back there and wait, you know, do something about it. But I know most parents are now fed up. They are tired, because there's no one who is helping them. There's no one now. It's like they're left, and everything looks very confusing. So, but I would still advise, go to the school, get help from the school if you can't get it directly from the system. That is the advice.
And this is about, that is the placement system. The system is the www.placement.education.go.ke. That is where all the calling letters are being generated, because they have special features. They have the watermark. That's the special features that authenticate and legitimize these calling letters to help the Ministry of Education actually to plan for the capitation. And it also helps the Ministry of Education to know this learner is in this particular school, and that all goes a long way in helping to plan the capitation aspect. Rolling on, let us talk about logistics, the placement versus logistics, because we've had cases where learners are placed in C4 very far from where because C4 are basically day schools and the county schools. And you find a situation where a learner has been placed kilometers away from their counties of residence or even their homes. How is that supposed to be addressed, Beatrice?
I would say maybe our technocrat would advise us much better. But I've seen a parent saying, like, I stay in Mombasa. My child is called in Kisii. Someone, I think they were in Embu, and the child is called in to go to a school in Western. They can't even know. They were asking, please, could you let me know where is this school? And at that moment is like, you know, my child. And then this is a child who has performed very well, being placed to a day school. which is far, 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 from where they are. So it's basically not going to work. For a day school, how can you come from Mombasa to Kisii? How many hours? So it's not going to work. So I hope that is also going to be rectified, and rectified in good time. Remember, we have only up to next week. Today is Monday, right? 1 week from now, if you still don't know where your child is going, money, maybe the little you had already collected, it's going to now, where do I take my child? You have to travel here and there. It's already getting finished. Before you even start purchasing the uniform, purchasing the basic needs, So we are just, as parents, we're just crying that the ministry should come and help us to fight this thing early enough, or even give a different direction how it should be done so that parents can be favored. And also, as we said, parents that are not literate enough. So maybe some of them are just like, me, I'm tired. Actually, there are those that were saying like, me, I'm tired. I've really tried. I'll just go with what I have. So imagine, what do you have? You have C4 in Kisii, and you're living in Mombasa. So what do you literally have? How are you going to even appear on Monday? How can you even explain this to your child? Like, I tried and I failed. I can't even get help. Yeah, so there's that gap that needs to be filled.
Mr. Wadi, to address this logistics thing?
It's not all gloom, Cliff. At least the ministry also is responding. One of it was the denial of the principals the opportunity to be involved in the selection.
Yes.
And I know the reasons, like I had said earlier, was because most principals of C1, C2 were you doing business. You are given an account number, you take, it's called what fee. You go put the money, they were trying to avoid that.
Sure.
Because parents were corrupt, and some big principals were corrupt. That is the time then you'll be told that you put money for building the gate, put money for buying a bus, those illegal fees. Form 1 admission used to be that. So they were trying to avoid it with grade 10 admissions. They have involved now the Kesha. We are just warning them that after having been involved, we don't want to hear about those bribery. Already we have heard of parents with letters. We have already heard of parents with letters, but they have not applied in big schools, not of small schools. So then the second one, we have seen that they have extended the review. It's starting tomorrow up to the Friday. Extension is not the problem. The problem is portal being accessed. You can extend it even for 1 month, but parents or HOIs cannot access it. We say, and we are repeating, let it not be jammed. Open that portal and let the teachers and the parents be able to access it, so that it should not even reach Friday. By Wednesday, these kids should be having letters, and that has been reviewed, taking them to where they want. The third fact that students of C4 were being admitted to schools far away from their home is enough evidence that the selection process was faulty. We have cases of a student from Korea being admitted to Kisumu Day. How is this student going to survive the way Madam has said here? You have a student from, let's say, Bungoma being admitted to Nyamasaria, or a student from here being admitted to Kakamega in a day school. There must be something wrong somewhere. That is why we want them to use their IT experts and solve that issue of placement once and for all. These students have been used as a guinea pig for long, but it's wrong to make them feel hopeless. Let them feel that they have a future in the education, because we don't want them to start their journey in senior secondary. It is in senior secondary that lives are made and lives are destroyed, because this is their teenage area. This is their adolescent age. We must get it right so that the student get it right. Remember that we are dealing with students from myriad backgrounds. Most of these students have challenges. They have not even started on how they are going to get bursaries. They have not even started on how they are going to get help. In fact, even those parameters that we are denouncing, those ones of KJSEA, the results, are the ones which will be used. We have not even seen Equity, KCB Foundation, coming to feed those students who have exceeded expectations. Because now almost everybody has exceeded expectations. We want to identify those students from needy, from poor background, needy but brilliant, so that they can access help. But when we want to get them help, they will need calling letters. How do you get help if you don't have a proper calling letter? How do you tell your KCB Foundation or the MP that I got 67 or 70, I was meant to go for Alliance, but now I've been taken to a C4 school? it will reduce even the type of bursary you'll be given.
Yeah.
Because in some situations, you are given the bursary as per the school. You bring a calling letter, and if it is a foundation, they give the bursary. But if you have been called to a day school, naturally, if the fee was supposed to be 100,000 of alliance, they will scale it down to the fee of the day school. For the sake of logistics, let us now move with haste and ensure that these students get their letters so that they can move to the next step. The next step is sourcing for funds. 3/4, I'm saying, of students will require help financially in order to access those schools where the pathways they were called to are supposed to be done.
Mr. Wycliffe, maybe just to also and maybe ask, you said about the corruption that has been happening from before, where head of institutions, they were asking for money for them to admit these kids. I've seen such cases. I don't know how it's being handled currently, but this one was like a head of HOE has requested that just give in a commitment fee, and then some parents were, commitment fee is going to go to your fee. How true is this? Because a parent is now desperate to get the school, and then the head of institution is like, bring a commitment fee. So can you maybe explain this? Because even me, I'm confused about it.
Thank you. That is what the MOE was trying to solve. So we cannot just condemn the MOE. They were trying to solve that part. The commitment fee, I have just forgotten the name. The commitment fee was a different account. You are just being given, if you're serious, chukua hii, nenda ka deposit, then bring the deposit slip. After the deposit slip, you are given the letter. That letter now, the fees will be different. That one you have committed, that account is not even known. It is probably the principal's account. Unaona. So the problem comes when it is you who was disparate. You remember, it's you who was disparate,
exactly.
And you are ready to pay.
Yeah.
You have been told that you want alliance, or you want Kisumu Boys, or you want what? Just pay this. Yes. And it is the parent who is. So it is the highest bidder. It is not about that student who cannot access it. It is that the highest bidder. And that is how the highest bidders go to some of these schools that we initially used to imagine were meant for poor. That's where Kistare comes in. And Kenas girls. Even today, there are still complaints about that Stare, because do they really help our needy children? And which parameters are they using? Because even in the system, they are not there. Even in the system for selection, they are not there. They're just doing their own things. But the problem is not even the Stare. The problem is these extra county schools and national schools, which were performing better. Some of them were related to exam malpractices. So teachers, parents will look and say, oh, this school is doing better. They have gotten so many A's. So everybody wants to go to that school.
And that is why the nation bit of it and replaced it with assessment. Yes. And just moving, but then that system, the system that we continue talking about, it is that is the system where the calling letters are being generated from, because we know the MOE is being very strict on this calling letters thing. A parent may be tempted to go to the school, the senior school of interest, to to be issued with that calling letter. But then it will not count at the end of the day, because actually on 12th, when the learners will be reporting, will be so much in those schools to see how this situation pans out. But as a parent, you may want to do what is the MOE requires you to do: go to the system, generate the calling letters based on where the learner was placed. Mr. Wange, you mentioned as we began this conversation that this is a new system, though it has been with us here for a while. It's replacing the 844. But then to eliminate all these challenges and some of the headache that is surrounding this new curriculum, who should do what?
Thank you, Wycliffe. The people who came with the promulgators of this 633 system had a good motive. The problem is us who have customized it to our needs. For instance, I talked about domicility. It was supposed to be domicile in secondary. It could have solved those problems. But we brought it politically. We knew the government was fearing paying 22,000. It is easier, cheaper to pay capitation in primary than to pay it in secondary. Parents were also fearing that this kid is too young. How can a kid born who is 10 years go to Mangu High School? So they were vested. And then the parents were also fearing that the fees in high school at grade 7. So they would rather have. So secondly was the patching of the subjects. The subjects were 14. But because we didn't have enough teachers, these students did go to raw deals. Let us call a spade and not a big spoon. This cohort of the Pioneer 844, Pioneer CBE students. These people were taught physics by CRE teachers. These people were taught English by agriculture teachers. There was problems and we made noise as a union. And that is why the government employed those 20,000 interns. But we are hoping that the foundation they got will now be improved in secondary, because the secondary schools had those facilities they were not having. In primary, there was no laboratories. It was meant that they were going to go to the nearby sub-county schools for practicals. They never went. There were not enough teachers, but the government employed 20,000 interns who are yet to be put to PNP. Now we are in senior secondary. We thought it will not reach. It has reached. What we are having is a transition. We must now do something in this senior secondary, ensure that there is infrastructure. Why those schools in sub-county are being eschewed, why they are being avoided, is because of lack of facility. You are being taken to a sub-county school to go and play sports, and you know they don't have a playground. You are being taken to a sub-county school to go and do, let's say, STEM, and you know they have only one lab. That is the reason. That's why the national schools have almost everything. They have almost 3 to 4 pathways. Let us ensure that every school that has been given a pathway has facilities for the same, so that a student need not to go because to national schools. We have had situations whereby small schools were performing well in drama. We had small schools where small schools were performing well in sports, volleyball, football, and such like things. Ensure that there is teachers for PE there. You are not going to have somebody doing STEM, and because just that school was just good in football, but not STEM, but sports, because sports is wide. Sports has even hockey, has basketball, even swimming, and such like things. So let's ensure that there are resources. This is a very expensive education. But if you think that education is expensive, we are not going to allow the government to try ignorance. Because the results is going to be pathetic. Remember, the Gen Z are educated. The Gen Z who cause uprising in Kenya are very much educated. The reason why they were dissatisfied is because they are graduates and they don't have jobs. Now we want to produce another generation of people who have dropped out. This will be catastrophic to this nation. Thank you.
But who should be doing what? What role should the parent be playing? And for the success, to ensure that this new education system is successfully rolled out, what is your perspective?
I'll talk about something, but Mr. Wange, maybe I wanted to add something. This social media, I've told you, like, we parents here on the social media, you're getting all the information, but I just want to add something. There was this information that was coming, like, grade 9, there is a thought that it will be domiciled now in senior school. I don't know whether that is true or not, before I answer Mr. Whitfield.
That is our suggestion as a union, that now that JSS is in primary school, you can still leave JSS there, but take part of it like grade 9. Because grade 9 is the former Form 1.
Yes.
This grade 10, they are not Form 1 actually, they are Form 2s. There is no Form 1 in the whole of our country. So you can still take this grade 9 to secondary and leave this grade 7 to 8, grade 7 and 8 in primary, because of several reasons. One of the reasons that we are talking about is resources. Those students still in those comprehensive schools do not have facilities like laboratories and libraries. That means that there is nothing comprehensive about those schools.
Okay.
And then I get your suggestion. And what's your perspective on the successful rollout of CBE?
Okay, you asked about the roles of everyone.
Who should be doing what?
Who should be doing what? First, the learner's interest should be primary.
Sure.
But of course, for this level, as we are starting, I think we should just let learners know there's need of flexibility. For now, they are the guinea pigs. Like, we're doing experiment with them, especially the grade 9s. I don't know. I don't even understand how we are going. They are being really tested for a long. They've been tried. This one is working. This is not working. So we have to just train them to be a little bit flexible, and also they do self-discovery. Know what you are strong in, your skills, because now I think that is what is also going to help them so much. As much as their brains is important and all that, let them also now navigate to the natural skills that they are. And also now social media, how can I say, the internet is there. They can even request also to do some research for themselves, just to help. Because if your parent cannot help you, or you have not enough guidance, parents are supposed to do advocacy. one of you guys also talked of one good school that doesn't have infrastructure. What are the parents doing there in this school? It's a very good performing school. It's been there for I don't want to mention the name. It's been there for so many years. My dad went to that school, did very well. The school is still there. But what you say, they were there. There were potholes there. The windows, they don't have like even the glasses and all. These are performance. What are the parent representatives doing in such school? So parents have a role to play. Even for the CBC, parents have a role to play. If something is not going on well, they need to give a voice. There's a continuous learning that should happen for the teachers and the capacity building. Mr. Wange just talked of the team that was taken for training. I don't know whether all teachers are now ready. No, they are not ready. And imagine they're ready to take up this team. So that tells you like this grade 9, the first cohort, it's being just they're being just tested, you know, whether it's working or not, you know, and it's a bad sacrifice for them. And now the organizations and community, the community really needs to come out, because it's the community, like community-based organization, the CBOs, the NGO organizations like that, they meet a lot of people. These platforms needs to be used, and also the media. You really need to do something about bringing the technocrats and the educationists on the ground, because as I said, social media is good, but even me, I wasn't aware of this grade 9 going back to the senior section, because it's confusing. So maybe if I also may just bring my mind now that I've got it from him, then you can
put the parting shot, because we are running out of time. Yeah.
Okay, now I can put it the parting shot, because my question now is the schools that already have the infrastructure for the grade 9 in the JS. Now the rumor is going out, or has been also said by him, that is going to now senior. What is the infrastructure? How is it going to be now used? It can be used, of course, but do you know, especially the private schools are very disadvantaged. The ministry is okay, but the private schools are very disadvantaged. We've already put up all these things, and yeah, so I hope like as we are moving forward, things are going to be, I know a new system is quite technical and all that, but with all this, it brings a lot of confusion and uncertainty. I hope it just cleared, and we move on a clear note. Right. Yes.
Mr. Wage, we just in 1 minute, we know we're starting tomorrow all the way to Friday, and we also know that the reporting date is date 12. As we summarize, wind this up, what is your parting shot?
They should put forward the reporting date to allow those students who have successfully reviewed this week to organize for themselves. It's never too late. Let every student be involved as per the government policy of 100% transition. Over the years, we have seen that policy of 100% transition have been heavily violated since the late Professor Magoha left the ministry. Magoha will go to slums and look for those children. Nobody cares whether those students today are gone or not there. Access to education is being affected by CBE because students are dropping out very late at grade 6. Somebody has done exams and feels that it's enough. So those people, we have currently students who graduated with the CAPSIA certificate only. They are now mothers, or they are working as housemates or whatever. And lastly, we must, as a nation, and the government must be asked that they must now undertake radical surgery of the education. Part of that radical surgery is to embrace ideas whose time has come, but may appear to be unpalatable. One of it is the JSS or moguls who are demanding for autonomy. If we cannot put grade 9 to secondary, then let us have this sector standing on its own. That is grade 7, 8, and 9, to be a bridge between primary and secondary. Let them have their own administration, administrative autonomy, financial autonomy, and staffing autonomy, so that they do their own things. Part of the problems we are having in JSS is a conflict between the HOI and these teachers. Let us have that autonomy. And lastly, employment of teachers beginning with the 20,000 K interns. It might appear expensive, but we are looking for masomo bora, sio bora masomo.
And that is about fine. That is my two guests, one Beatrice Omolo, an educationist and also a parent, and also flanked by one Mr. Zablon Awange, the Executive Secretary for for KUPPET. KUPPET is Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers. He is in charge, is the executive secretary for the KUPPET Kisumu chapter. And I believe the last 40 minutes has been this conversation has been quite informative to you as a parent watching, and to you as a learner, and also to the education policy makers, or the government policy makers that are entrusted to roll out the CBE to make it a success and to make it generate the objective that it was intended for. And we really hope that even as the review starts tomorrow all the way to Friday, and also the reporting date being the 12th, all these factors, suggestions that have been given here by my two guests probably will be taken into consideration. The GMK show continues, but the Western Spectrum, that is where I put a cap on it. My name has been Weekly for Cage, and before I hand you back to Nairobi, to the broadcasting house for the family check with my colleague Vivian Degwa, allow me to extend my appreciation to you, the viewer, for having created time to tune into this interview, and also my two guests. Thank you so much, Mr. Wanga. Thank you, Beatrice, for creating time to speak to us this morning. And also on behalf of the production team, led by the Nairobi team, and also the camera people just behind the lenses, Christina Diambo and Simon Yamatiko, I thank you, the viewer, and that is where I put a cap on conversation this morning. But this conversation has been necessitated by the ownership, or rather the management of Mirage Palace. That is the facility that has allowed us the facility to bring to you this conversation. And if anytime you are in Kisumu, may you want to pass by Mirage Palace, that is just located within the Kisumu city center, to sample some of the hospitality facilities that they have to offer. That is where we put a cap on this morning's conversation. But then GMK continues, and before Vivian Degwa comes back after this short break, let us take a short break, and when we come back, Vivian Degwa will be with you for the family check.